So after Villa de Torre, I was a bit sort of meh about the season finale. Granted, the Lone Cyberman idea I felt was pretty cool, and I figured the Thomas Child idea would have come forward. You know, we heard Sasha Dewan was going to be in this one as the Master, and I figured, Cybermen, we haven't seen those in a season finale since, 12's final season, or the end of his first season, so okay, Cyberman, maybe we can go a different way here, because the Lone Cyberman, I think, is an interesting character. The Cybermen have been able to sort of bring out, I think, the most assertive the Doctor's been, sort of a good thing about the Cybermen and the Daleks. They sort of force the Doctor to be a bit more serious, and this Doctor has had a hard time, in my opinion, of coming off as an authority figure. Just sort of talks and attempts to lecture, and I don't know, she's not really whatever. We're getting off track here, so let's just watch both episodes. I didn't get a chance to watch Ascension when it came out, so we'll just watch it all now and see how we feel about it.
A few moments later.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, how do I want to sum this up? Yeah, that'll do it. So let's just recap the episode as best and quickly as we can, because there's a lot I think I want to unload here. So the Doctor and company arrive on, want to say it's Earth, trying to stop or fix what she did, by giving the Cyberium to the Lone Cybermen, and they have these plans. Okay, so we've got this stuff that'll block out their tracers, and we've got the stuff that'll simulate gold going into their sensors, what they're allergic to, which they're not really allergic to, which just clogs up in their respirators. But okay, whatever. And none of that works. There's about 8 humans left, and that number dwindles down with every other scene they're in. The humans are trying to get to a gateway, which will lead them away from the Cybermen. And okay, that's cool. The group gets split up, and now we're sort of stuck with the Doctor and company, the Doctor and Ryan, along with one other guy, are trying to get to the gateway, while Yaz and Graham join these other group of chuckleheads to also get there. And then they all sort of converge on one spot, just sort of at different points. While the Doctor and Ryan arrive on the planet with the gateway, they meet Sir Barristan Selmy of the King's Guard, who says, hey, here's the gateway. And turns out the gateway leads to Gallifrey. And from that gateway comes the Master, who says, hey, yeah, I gotta show you something. Meanwhile, Yaz and Graham and these other chuckleheads try to find a way out of around this ship, which the Lone Cyberman has got on and has awakened the Cybermen. So they decide to do a really dark but not really quite fleshed out thing of removing the human remains from the Cybermen suits and putting them on themselves. And I felt like at some point someone should have thrown up to really communicate how gross that would be. Those are human limbs in there. But whatever, Ryan and Sir Barristan Selmy and the other guy decide to try to fight off the Cybermen. And I thought, if anything, we'd have gotten a really cool scene of maybe Ryan accidentally killing Graham, or Yaz, or one of the other people who don't matter. They're just some Cybermen, and that would have been a great reason for Ryan to say, look, I just can't. I need to stay here. I can't travel anymore. That would have been great. Would have been fun, would have been dark, would have been interesting, whatever. But we didn't do that. So they go to Gallifrey, they find the Doctor, and we're going to stop right there. We're going to talk about what the Doctor has found out from the Master. So the Master has, yes, laid waste to Gallifrey. And that really, really rustles my jimmies. It's not very cash money, as the new phrase seems to be from the young people. I'm old. And the Master reveals, like, hey, I destroyed everything but the Matrix, this repository of Time Lord knowledge, of all Time Lords past and present. So, puts the Doctor into the Matrix, and the Master gives the Doctor the truth about the Timeless Child. So the child was this child found at like this tuning fork in the universe from another dimension by Tectum, and she's one of the first travelers from Gallifrey, one of the Shibogans, and she finds out, hey, the Timeless Child, well, not they'll call it the Timeless Child yet, but the child, when she falls off a cliff because bad parenting, regenerates. So she experiments on the child regenerates a few more times. She's able to isolate what allows her to regenerate, inject it into herself, so now she can regenerate. And as Time Lord Society builds pretty much around that, the regeneration is then added. So presumably Omega and Rassilon have already begun to, discover and stabilize Time Lord Society, the Hand of Omega, the Sphere of Rassilon, the Eye of Harmony. All of that has already been set. Then the regeneration comes in, and the regeneration is only given to Time Lords, namely those of the Great Chapter Houses, Arcalians, Pridonians, Petraxes, and yeah, so the real twist is...
You are the Timeless Child.
Yeah, it's weird. So the Timeless Child, like every once in a while, has their memory erased. We don't quite know what leads to it. Presumably, it's whenever the Timeless Child joined the Division. And the Division was like this group that goes off somewhere, and every now and then they come and erase the Timeless Child's memory. And they did this to the Doctor. Even the Matrix does not know how many lives the Doctor has quote-unquote lived. And the Doctor's sort of stuck there, confused, not knowing who she is anymore. Then Ruth shows up. Dr. Ruth shows up and says, does that really matter that you don't know? When have you ever let your past, define you or drive your life? Well, there was the Time War, but whatever. So the Doctor's like, wait, okay, yeah, I'm better. And she then decides to stop the Master. The Master, who is so angry and upset that the Doctor is this key figure in Time Lord Society, that he's like, you know what, no, all has to go. All of it has to be burned. He's willing to work with the Cybermen, and the Lone Cyberman has this thing called the Death Particle, which will destroy all organic life, or just all human life. It's weird. It doesn't quite understand what the Cybermen are. Even the Master points out, well, if you destroy all organic life, you'll just become robots. That's it. You become robots. It's kind of dull. So the Master offers them Time Lord bodies. So therefore they can create the Cyber Masters, which can regenerate. So therefore they'll just slowly take over the cosmos. The Death Particle actually is a smarter idea, but the Death Particle doesn't really play a role in the story. Like, the humans that survive the Cyber Wars, like, yeah, they talk about the Death Particle. Well, but no one really, there's no real race to it. So the Doctor's able to get out and is able to get a hold of the Death Particle when the Master shrinks the Lone Cyberman and isolate it and create a bomb, because she has to destroy the Cyber Masters and Gallifrey to make sure they don't escape the planet. So while the human chuckleheads go off somewhere, the Doctor goes to the Master, tries to push the button. So here we are again, Day of the Doctor. Also, the Parting of the Ways? Was that it? The Ninth Doctor's last story? And even Cold War, just the moment where the Doctor's stuck with an impossible choice and doesn't do it. But this time, there's no real downside other than the Doctor dies. The Doctor usually doesn't do this stuff because other people will die. This time, there's no casualties. Just the Master and the Doctor. Why not? Let's just end it both. But no, the Master makes a speech like, do it, Doctor. Do it. Do it. And she doesn't. But then Sir Barrister comes and says, like, no, this has been my fight the whole time. Like, has it really? You've really done nothing to establish yourself as a character other than you fight Cybermen. But it's a war with Cybermen versus humans, so everyone fights the Cybermen. So there's nothing special about that. It's like, no, I'll push the button. Go, Doctor, run, run. I'm like, well, this is the most cowardly thing ever I think the Doctor's ever done. Let someone else sacrifice themselves when the alternative is, I'll do it. Even with the library story, the idea was that there was nothing else the Doctor could do to stop River to do it himself. So, whatever. Okay, let's go on. So, Gallifrey is destroyed, along with the Master. Who destroyed Gallifrey again? Nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred. Which is a very pretentious fanboy thing to say, but I'm feeling that way right now. So the Doctor catches up in another TARDIS, or her own TARDIS. Actually, no, it's a separate TARDIS. And yeah, before she can think about finding her friends, she's arrested by the Jadoon. And that's how this story ends. So let's talk about what I didn't like about this. And it's not the Timeless Child. I like the Timeless Child does not hurt Gallifrey's canon. It doesn't hurt Doctor Who's canon. It doesn't. It's a little added. You can slit this into Zagreus very easily. You know, the Rassilon Imperative doesn't really say where it's happened. As a matter of fact, the Rassilon Imperative, I think, really sort of sides into the Timeless Child. So Rassilon comes across the Timeless Child, like Tectum, Tecatia, the pilot, scientist, brings this findings to Rassilon. Rassilon says, I'll handle this, takes all the credit, blah, blah, blah. That's in line with Rassilon's character, in line with Gallifrey's character, totally fine. Does not upset Time Lord history at all, whatever that is. The problem is when you make the Doctor the Timeless Child. Because now, and I do get the intention here, or at least what I believe the intention here, is to make all the other Doctors that we've sort of seen, from the Brain of Morbius, to Peter Cushing's Doctor, to even Rowan Atkinson's Doctor, to make it all be implied that it's all sort of canon. It's all happened. The fact that Brendan was an older version of the Doctor before the Doctor. But it doesn't quite explain everything. But it also makes the Doctor ridiculously important. And this was something thrown away in the Cartmel master plan by Andrew Cartmel, which was an attempt to make the Seventh Doctor more mysterious by saying, well, the Doctor played this huge, colossal role in Time Lord society. He was the other. You know, there was Rassilon, there was Omega, and the other. So, yeah, it's a thing. Does it work? Does it not? Meh. I don't think it does. I think it's sort of a betrayal of the Doctor's character. To me, it's the equivalent of saying that Batman always had superpowers. Like, there was no he just had them. No, like, he didn't just now get them. No, he's always had superpowers. So there's no point to him. Or if you were to say all of a sudden, no, Professor X, you're not a mutant, you're an Inhuman. No, tell it to Magneto. Tell it to Magneto. It's just sort of, like, what's the point? There's nothing... I don't like the idea of the Doctor being overly important, the sort of space Jesus. Like, if you want to make the story darker, you could have had it be the Master again. You know, RTD did it. Yeah, we put a drumming in the Master's head so he's insane. In this way, like, hey, the Master was the Timeless Child, and we took the Master's childhood from him, and everyone knew it. Everyone in the High Council of Time Lords knew what we did to the Master. See, that works. That works. Because it's a bit of a different one, but it sort of feels like the Doctor, in some ways, isn't the same bumbler that we always knew to be. Like, no, secretly, like, you're great. You're super important. You're super competent. You've had over possibly millions of years, chronologically, to do everything. And we still don't explain the police box. If Ruth is an earlier Doctor, how is the TARDIS a police box? Don't know. Just weird. The Cyberman story is really good up until this last point, because the problem is the Cybermen become an afterthought. Even though they sort of work their way to the same finish point as everyone else, it doesn't quite hit. And the problem is because I don't think the story understands Cybermen. Like, the point of the Cybermen is not to destroy all organic life. It's to upgrade all organic life. By saying that the Cybermen want to destroy it, you've made them the Daleks. The Daleks say everything that is not a Dalek must be destroyed. The Cybermen says that anything that isn't a Cyberman must become a Cyberman for the greater good, because they see Cybermen as efficient, as the best possible option. It's a different kind of fascism. But no, all of this is sort of thrown out the window, and I don't know. It feels like, Chibs really does like to rehash things. Because, you know, versus the Cybermen, the Doctor versus the Cybermen. And for the season finale, that is a bit overdone. Gallifrey being destroyed. Another secret incarnation. The Doctor's history being in possible contradiction. There's a mystery going on. Yes, these are things that Doctor Who does excel at, but Chibs doesn't really reinvent them. And then here, with this story here, he's just sort of saying, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to canonize everything. And maybe that does work, maybe it doesn't. I'm sure the people that do like it, I just don't, because of the implication about the Doctor. And I also get the idea that the Master is supposed to represent the audience who doesn't like this change. Alright? The Master is the sniveling fanboy who doesn't like this Doctor because of the change she represents. The change to canon, the change to everything. I don't care, Chibs. Your seasons have been, at best, unremarkable. Even with this, I'm more possibly angry. I don't like to be angry at this. I don't, because it's just a show at the end of the day. But it's sort of, I like when my shows and their stories have a good line of consistency and are as faithful to their characters as possible. And maybe something good will come from this. But as of right now, I don't see it. And more importantly, I don't trust Chris Chibnall to do it. Anyway, with that in mind, I'll bring this video to close here. If you're new to the Bug Think Tank, feel like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is Bug Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your fandom serve you well.